Hello students. Yesterday in the earlier video we have seen about the narrator and Albert Einstein. When the narrator was unable to listen music, Albert Einstein took him up in another room, okay, where there was a gramophone, and she played the music which was very simple. So the narrator was able to listen it properly. Now let's see the remaining part. He smiled and nodded, obviously pleased. You can give me an example perhaps. Now what happened here? Nodded. Nodded means what? Moved head up and down to indicate agreement. When the narrator told Albert Einstein that he liked the songs that had words and the kind of music where he could follow the tune. In a simple way, he said that he liked only the simple music where he would be able to follow it definitely. So, Albert Einstein here smiled and moved his head up and down to indicate agreement. Obviously pleased. By his statement, he was pleased. You can give me an example perhaps. So here Albert Einstein asked him he could give him an example so he could play that music. I told him I like anything by Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby, who was an American singer and actor. The narrator here asked him he could play here anything by Bing Crosby. At once, I could hear Bing Crosby's voice filling the room. After that, Albert Einstein played the music here of Bing Crosby, and so the whole room was filled with the music of Bing Crosby's voice. Now, can you please tell me what you just heard? He said. In a very humble manner, Albert Einstein asked the narrator. Now you have heard the voice which was well known to you. So, could you please tell him what he had just heard? Okay. After that, what did the narrator say? The simplest answer seemed to be to sing the lines, so I sang it back to him. It was very simple and it was simple to the narrator to give the answer, because whatever the music he heard, that was very simple and easy to sing. So in a very good way, the narrator sang it back to him. He smiled. You are not tone deaf, he said. After hearing the narrator, Albert Einstein smiled and told him that he was not a tone deaf, okay, because he was able to sing back to him whatever he listened in the room, that he was able to listen it back to him. So how can he tell him that he is a tone deaf person? No, okay, he was actually not a tone deaf person. I told him this was one of my favorite songs, something I had heard hundreds of times, so it didn't really prove anything. Here the narrator told him that that was one of his favorite songs and something that he had heard hundreds of times in his life, so it was very easy for him to sing it back. So it didn't really prove anything here that he was not a tone deaf person, okay. Nonsense, said Einstein. It proves everything. After that, Einstein replied him that you are a nonsense. Why? Because whatever he listened there, that proved everything that he was not a tone deaf person. He actually was able to hear and he concentrated very properly, so he was able to sing back, okay. Do you remember your first arithmetic lesson in school? After that, Albert Einstein asked him one question, that was he able to remember here the first arithmetic lesson that from his school. Suppose at your very first contact with numbers, your teacher had ordered you to work out a problem in, say, long division or fractions. Could you have done it? He gave him one example. First, means when you were in the school at the first time, on that day you were just introduced with the numbers and your teacher had ordered you to do the work. That means she had provided you a problem and which was of division or fractions. So could he had done that? No. Okay. Why? Because he was just introduced to the number. So it's not easy for anyone to do that kind of a work. Just the person is introduced with. Okay. So that the resemblance with the music he has given here to narrator. Okay. No, of course not. What was the answer from the narrator? No, he was not able to do that fraction or division because he was just introduced with the numbers. Okay, so he was unable to do the problem or to solve the problem. Exactly, it's like learning maths. What is that? That means learning the maths. You have to learn addition and subtraction in order to do multiplication and division. Now I am playing something a little more advanced that I wanted to tell you, that means that is the maths. First of all, he should have to learn about addition and subtraction if he wants here to do multiplication and division. If he doesn't know addition and subtraction, it is not possible for him to solve multiplications and divisions. Now he started playing something that was more advanced. It was John McCormack singing the trumpeter. Sing that back, he ordered here. At first, Albert Einstein started a song. Means who was there? Whose voice was that? McCormack. And who was singing? The trumpeter. And after that, after listening it, Albert Einstein asked the narrator, sing that back. Whatever he listened, that sing for him. He gave the order to the narrator. And we went on from level to higher level until he was playing just music without words. At first, the level was very small one, that means low one. After that, he started the level which was very high, that means he started higher level until he was playing just music without words. Means earlier there was only music when the level was very low, and when it started here higher level till 2, it was easy for the narrator to listen it properly. I was amazed that this great man was paying complete attention to me so that I could learn something new. Here the narrator understood that what Albert Einstein here was paying attention at him, and he was the very important person for him. So by this the narrator was amazed, surprised a lot, because Albert Einstein, who was a very famous figure one, who was a very great man and who was giving lot of attention, complete attention to the narrator. Why? Because to learn the music, means the thing that was new for him. Actually, it was the ability of the narrator. It was as if I was the most important person in his world. The narrator thought that Albert Einstein looked at him as the very important person for him in his world. Suddenly, he got up and turned off the gramophone. After that, what happened? Albert Einstein got up from his seat and turned off the gramophone. Now, young man, he said, we are ready to listen to Bach. Actually, the music which was going in the drawing room, that was of Bach. But at first the narrator was unable to listen it, and he considered himself that he was a tone deaf. But when Albert Einstein gave him lot of here means in a very simple way, he told him and he gave him examples and he played something which he felt that new. Okay, after that he understood that he was not a tone deaf kind of a person. Here we understood Albert Einstein's treatment that was given to young man. Okay, here he was very patient and polite. Okay, and he means we know here that he was a very good teacher, moving step by step in attempting to teach the young man to appreciate classical music, because earlier the narrator was unable to understand the classical music, and here Albert Einstein with patience and politeness, he here gave that example to narrator and then let the narrator to appreciate classical music. Also, by using a comparison from maths and the question and answer method, here Albert Einstein comes across as a true scientist. Okay, that the example we learnt here. Okay, now let's see what is given here. After that, they went to listen to Bach. We went down and sat in the hall. Just allow yourself to listen, he said. That's all there is to it. After that, they went downside and sat in the hall where all the guests were seated, and the hostess arranged chairs for sitting all the guests. Okay, and the music that was of Bach. Just here, allow yourself to listen, he said. Who said? Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said to the narrator that he himself just listened the music. That was the important thing that he should have to do there. I have heard that piece many times since that day, but I am never alone. I am sitting beside a small man with a shock of untidy hair and a pipe in his mouth. Here the narrator told us that he had heard that piece many times since that day. From which day? When the person, important person, means Albert Einstein was with him. He gave him the example and he let him to listen the classical music. At the time he was very patient and taught the young man how to listen music. Okay. So here, because of that important figure, the narrator was able to hear the piece many times. Okay, but at the time he told that he was not alone. Okay, he was never alone. He was always, means there was one important figure beside him. Who was that? Small man with a shock of untidy hair. Okay, how was the hair? White, and a pipe in his mouth. He has eyes that are unusually warm. How were the eyes of Albert Einstein? They were unusually warm, okay, indicating lot of patience. When the concert ended, I too was able to clap sincerely. Our hostess came towards us. We both stood up. What happened here later? When the concert ended, I too was able to clap sincerely. Actually, the concert was arranged for Albert Einstein, but because of the narrator, Albert Einstein was not able to listen that music. Okay, when the piece was over, everybody started clapping, and with him, the narrator was also able to clap sincerely. Why? Because at the time he also heard the song very appropriately. He heard the music very appropriately and he understood here. Okay, so he was able to clap with them. Then the hostess came towards them. Then the narrator and Albert Einstein stood up from their places. I'm so sorry, Dr. Einstein, she said, giving me a cold look, that you missed so much. Here the hostess, what did she say to Dr. Einstein? She said Dr. Einstein that she was really sorry, extremely sorry. For what? Because giving him a, at the time she gave a cool look. Okay, what kind of a cool means she was angry. With whom? The narrator. Because of the narrator, Dr. Einstein was unable to listen the music that she said Albert Einstein that he missed so much there. I am so sorry too, he said. My young friend here and I, however, were engaged in the greatest activity of which a human being is capable. After that, Albert Einstein gave her the answer. He also here apologized to her. He extremely was sorry for that, whatever what, because he was also unable to attend the concert. Then he replied to her that his young friend and Albert Einstein both were actually engaged in the greatest activity. And which was that greatest activity? That human being is capable to do. But with that answer, the hostess looked puzzled. She was confused. She was unable to understand. She just exclaimed, really? She said that, okay. And what is that? Means she didn't understand what a human being is capable, okay. With that sentence she was unable to understand, so she again asked him, what is that? Albert Einstein just smiled and put his arm across the narrator's shoulder, okay, and he told her that they were opening the frontiers of beauty. Beauty means what? Music. And frontiers means what? Limitations. Actually, the narrator was first unable to understand music, classical music. So, what was the reason that Albert Einstein wanted to understand? And so, he took him up the room where he played the gramophone, and he started playing something that was really interested to whom? To the narrator, okay. And after that, because of his patience and because of his lot of efforts giving some examples, okay, and politeness, he was able to hear, to teach the narrator how to listen music, okay. And after that the narrator was also able to listen the music. And so here he used the line opening up the frontiers of beauty. So whatever was good, whatever is there tremendously good, that the limitations were there and just they were opening the limitations. That means they were here letting the person to understand what was actually, okay. That means opening up the frontiers of beauty. Here our lesson overs. One thing also I want to tell you that Albert Einstein here listened the classical music, but the narrator here preferred the songs that had words and the kind of music where he could follow the tune. So we can understand here Albert Einstein who was actually listened the classical music, but narrator who listened the songs that have words and what kind of music, okay. So the line, last line, opening up the frontiers of beauty, which is the actually very important one line here. From that line the host is confused here, okay. But when Albert Einstein exclaimed it, the narrator also understood here, okay. Now we stop here.